Welcome to NFL Nexus. In the NFL, top 5 draft picks are supposed to be everything. They're the foundation, the hope, the guy you build a franchise around for a decade. So, what does it mean when a team just gives up on one after only 15 games? Today, we're breaking down the Indianapolis Colts' massive, and you could say massively controversial, gamble. They're betting their entire future not on a superstar player, but on a system. And man, it's a move that really makes you question everything you think you know about how to win in this league. This right here, this is the question, isn't it? It's the paradox at the very heart of what the Colts are doing. I mean, think about the standard NFL playbook, right? You draft a QB high, you give him years to grow, you build the entire world around him. And if it all goes south, guess who's usually the first one out the door? The coach. Well, the Colts just took that playbook and completely flipped it on its head. They are moving on from the guy they spent the 4th overall pick on, while at the same time sticking by a head coach who hasn't even gotten them to the playoffs yet. On the surface, it makes absolutely no sense. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find a bold, calculated, and incredibly risky plan taking shape. All right, so to really get why the Colts are making this massive pivot, we have to start with the player who was supposed to be their guy for the next decade, quarterback Anthony Richardson. Coming out of college, this dude was a unicorn. I mean, a combination of size, speed, and arm strength that you just do not see every day. But his story in Indianapolis, well, it's short, it's complicated, and in the end, it's a promise the team clearly feels was left unfulfilled. 4th, overall. Let's just sit with that for a second. A top 5 pick in the NFL draft isn't just another jersey in the locker room. It is a massive, massive investment. It's years of scouting, millions of dollars in guaranteed cash, and really the hopes of an entire city all rolled into one person. This is the kind of pick you spend on a guy you think is going to change your franchise's fortunes for the next 10, maybe 15 years. So when the Colts picked Anthony Richardson here, they were screaming to the world, "This is our guy. This is the quarterback who's going to lead us back to the promised land." The expectations, yeah, they were absolutely enormous. Now, the really crucial thing to remember here is that the Colts front office, they knew what they were getting into. The key word you see here is raw. Richardson wasn't some polished, ready-to-go quarterback. He was a physical freak with a rocket launcher for an arm and incredible athletic gifts, but he needed a ton of coaching on the little things. Reading defenses, pocket presence, putting touch on the ball. And the plan they sold to everyone, as you can see, was patience. They were going to coach him up, let him develop, and just wait for all that insane potential to finally blossom. That was the promise. Yeah, but that patience clearly had an expiration date. This timeline, man, it just shows a career that was hit with one setback after another. It started in his rookie year, 2023, which was basically a total wash because of a shoulder injury that limited him to just 4 games. Okay, fine. He comes back in 2024, but that season was a total roller coaster. You'd see these flashes of unbelievable talent, but then they'd get interrupted by nagging injuries, inconsistent accuracy, and he even got benched for a bit. The final blows came in 2025. First, he flat out lost the starting job to Daniel Jones, and then, and you can't make this stuff up, a bizarre pregame orbital fracture ended his season. For the Colts, the pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. The most important ability in the NFL is availability, right? And Richardson just wasn't available enough to build a team around. And if you look at his numbers from 2024 when he saw the most action, it kind of tells the whole story. You can see the flashes of that incredible talent, for sure. 14 total touchdowns, almost 500 yards on the ground. That shows you what he can do with his legs. There were moments like a game-winning touchdown run against the Jets where you thought, okay, there he is. But when you step back and look at the whole picture for a number 4 pick, a 6-5 record and only 8 passing touchdowns and 11 starts, that's just not the growth they needed to see. The inconsistency was real. The flashes were exciting, but they just weren't happening often enough to make up for the development concerns, and of course the growing list of injuries. And that brings us to today. The team is now all in on starter Daniel Jones, who they expect to re-sign. They've got another young QB, Riley Leonard, as the backup, and suddenly Anthony Richardson is the odd man out. The whole conversation has shifted from franchise savior to trade chip. And the reports are that he could be moved to a team like the Vikings for as little as a 6th-round pick. I mean, that is a stunning, almost unheard of fall for a top 5 pick. It's the final, definitive signal that the Anthony Richardson experiment in Indy is over. So that's one half of this puzzle, right? The Colts are cutting their losses on their high-potential quarterback. But that's what makes the other half of this so fascinating and honestly a little confusing. Why, after giving up on a number 4 pick, are they doubling down on head coach Shane Steichen, a guy who hasn't even had a winning season yet? Well, the answer reveals the real anchor of their entire new strategy. Now, on paper, the case for moving on from Coach Steichen looks pretty strong. He came in with this big reputation as an offensive genius back in 2023, but the results, well, they just haven't been there. They've missed the playoffs every single year he's been the coach, and that 7-game losing streak to end last season, that wasn't just bad, it was an absolute end-of-season collapse. They went from controlling their own playoff destiny to looking totally lost. So yeah, based on these facts alone, the decision to keep him looks pretty baffling to anyone on the outside. But the Colts front office, they're not just looking at the win-loss record. Their decision is actually based on a very clear 3-part logic. They believe that if you look past that disappointing final record, you can see clear signs that Steichen is the right guy, and that what they really need is stability, not another big change. So let's break down each of these reasons. Okay, so the first reason actually has less to do with Shane Steichen himself and more to do with what's happening around the league. The head coaching market this offseason is a total frenzy. We're not talking about just a couple of openings. There are 9 vacancies. That's nearly a third of the league. And we're talking about big-time franchises in huge markets like the Giants, the Steelers, and the Ravens all looking for a new coach. It's what you'd call a seller's market, where the top coaches have all the power and can basically pick wherever they want to go. So here's the thinking. If the Colts fired Steichen and jumped into that chaos, they'd be fighting against some of the NFL's biggest brands for a very small group of top-tier candidates. There was a very real chance they'd lose out and get stuck with the table scraps, being forced to hire their 4th or 5th choice. And for a front office, firing your coach just to hire someone you're not even totally sold on, that is how you get stuck in mediocrity for years. So in that context, just staying put with Steichen was seen as the smarter, safer play than rolling the dice in a bidding war they might not even win. Secondly, and this slide really tells you everything you need to know about what the team believes, it's the giant asterisk they put next to their 2025 season, the health of Daniel Jones. This was truly a tale of 2 different seasons. For the first 10 games with a healthy Daniel Jones running Steichen's offense, the Colts weren't just okay, they were on a historic 8-2 pace. They looked like a legitimate contender. But the second Jones went down with that season-ending Achilles injury, the whole thing fell apart. They lost their final 7 games in a total freefall. This right here is the evidence the front office is clinging to. Before he got hurt, Daniel Jones looked completely reborn, like a different quarterback from the guy who was so up and down with the Giants. Steichen's system, which is all about play action and moving the pocket, fit Jones's skills perfectly. He wasn't asked to be Superman. He was asked to be a smart distributor, and he was thriving. The belief in that building is that the 8-2 team with Steichen and Jones, that's the real team. The 0-7 collapse that followed was just a terrible stroke of bad luck, not a problem with the coaching or the system. And that brings us to the third and final reason the Colts are sticking with their coach. It's Steichen's proven knack for developing young players and plugging them right into his system. And this isn't just about the quarterback. It's about his ability to lift up the entire offense. And there was one guy this past season who's the perfect example of this. That player is rookie tight end Tyler Warren. In 2025, Warren didn't just have a decent rookie year. He broke the franchise record for receptions by a rookie. That's incredibly impressive for a young tight end. Steichen got super creative with how he used him, lining him up all over the place to create mismatches. And this is so important because it proves to the organization that the coach can get the most out of the talent he has, not just the QB. It shows that his system can make multiple guys better and create production from anywhere. It's a huge vote of confidence that the scheme itself is a winner. Okay, so we've looked at the 2 big moves separately, getting rid of a former number 4 pick and keeping a coach with a losing record. But the key, the thing that unlocks this whole strategy, is realizing these aren't 2 separate decisions. Nope, they're 2 sides of the very same coin. So how do they connect to form one single, cohesive, and incredibly gutsy strategy? This lays it out perfectly. The Colts are pulling off a complete 180 in their team-building philosophy. The old plan, the one they drafted Anthony Richardson for, was all about the player. It was about betting on a rare, raw talent with a ridiculously high ceiling and being patient, hoping he turns into a superstar who makes any system look good. The new plan? It's the total opposite. It's all about the system. They're going all in on the offensive scheme that Shane Steichen has built, a system they believe works, and now they're just finding players, like Daniel Jones, who fit that system. And that right there, that's the takeaway that ties this whole thing together. The decision to fully commit to the Steichen and Jones partnership is the exact reason why Anthony Richardson, a number 4 overall pick, suddenly became expendable. In this new, system-first world, Richardson's incredible raw talent is actually seen as less valuable than a quarterback who can walk in today and run the playbook perfectly from day one. They're basically trading what a player could be in 3 years for what we know works right now. So when you put it all together, This brings us to the final takeaway. This isn't just about one player or one coach. This is about an entire franchise standing at a major crossroads, making a choice that is going to define them for years to come. This is the textbook definition of a calculated gamble. The Colts are betting the house not on the lottery ticket of a young, athletic quarterback, but on the belief that a stable coach and a proven system are a more reliable way to build a winner. They've weighed the risks, they've looked at the alternatives, and they have picked their lane, loud and clear. And that leaves us with the billion-dollar question that will decide people's careers in Indianapolis. Is this a genius, forward-thinking move to prioritize a system over potential, or is it a massive mistake, giving up way too early on a potential superstar and hitching their wagon to a coach and QB who still have a lot to prove? The answer is going to play out on the field, but only time will tell if betting on the system over the star was the right call. And that is our deep dive into the Colts' huge decision. They've picked their path, the system-centric road over the player-centric one. It is a fascinating case study in how to build a team, and you can bet we are going to be watching very, very closely next season. Thanks so much for watching this breakdown from NFL Nexus. Hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown and you want more deep dives into the biggest stories around the league, please make sure you're subscribed to the NFL Nexus channel. It is the best way to support what we do. And while you're at it, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Now, I really want to know what you think. Did the Colts make the right move? Let us know your takedown in the comments below. And one last thing, if you're a big football fan and you're looking for another way to support the channel, we've created a brand new line of NFL-themed coloring books. They are perfect for kids, grandkids, or hey, even for adults who just want to relax. You can find them by scanning the QR code on your screen or by clicking the link down in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next explainer.